The skies above the planet Jataris were a swirling mass of luminescent colors, reflecting the tumultuous political climate that had gripped the galaxy. The Jatarian Council had long boasted of their neutral stance in interstellar affairs, but the recent discovery of a precious resource beneath their crust had abruptly shifted the balance of power. Alien races from across the cosmos converged on Jataris, each vying for a stake in the new wealth, turning the once peaceful planet into a hotbed of intrigue and deception. Among the interstellar visitors was General Krall, a towering figure among the Zorvax, a warlike race known for their ruthlessness and superior technology.
His ship, the Dominator, hung in low orbit like a silent threat, casting a shadow over the Jatarian capital. General Krall was in the war room, monitoring the movements of various alien delegates on the planet's surface. His second-in-command, Lieutenant Grax, approached with a mix of reverence and fear, holding a datapad. "General, we've intercepted communications indicating an unknown entity has landed near the eastern ridge. Initial scans suggest it's a small craft, possibly a scout," Grax reported, his voice betraying a hint of concern. Krall snorted dismissively, his gaze fixed on the glowing map before him. "A scout? From which faction? More vultures come to peck at the carcass, no doubt."
"The origin is unconfirmed, sir, but preliminary analysis suggests it might be human." "Humans?" Krall laughed, a deep rumbling sound that filled the room. "A human on Jataris? What could those weaklings hope to achieve in this game of titans?" Despite his bravado, Krall was intrigued. Humans were a relatively young species in the galactic community, known more for their resilience and adaptability than their military might. They rarely ventured into conflicts of this scale. "Prepare a squad. I want that human captured, alive if possible," Krall ordered, his curiosity piqued. Grax nodded, his fingers flying over the datapad to relay the commands. In the shadow of the eastern ridge, a small, battered human shuttle had indeed landed, its hull scarred from the journey through the asteroid belt that ringed Jataris. Inside, Captain Mia Evans was checking her gear. Her mission was clear: gather intelligence on the alien activity surrounding the new resource and report back to Earth. The survival of her planet might depend on this mission. As she stepped out of her shuttle, the gravity of Jataris tugging at her limbs, she scanned the horizon with her binoculars. The landscape was stark, dotted with towering crystals that shimmered under the planet's twin suns. It was beautiful, but Mia was all too aware of the danger lurking in this beauty. Suddenly, her comms crackled to life. "Captain Evans, we've detected multiple life forms heading your direction, approximately 2 clicks north of your position, likely armed." "Understood," Mia responded, her voice calm. She wasn't surprised. She had expected to attract attention, but she hadn't anticipated it so soon. Quickly, she began to move, her training kicking in as she made her way towards a cluster of rocks that offered some cover. As she settled behind the rocks, the sound of heavy footsteps approached. Peering cautiously, Mia saw a squad of alien soldiers, tall, imposing figures clad in high-tech armor, clearly Zorvax. Their reputation preceded them. No non-military personnel had ever escaped an encounter with them. Mia gripped her weapon, a state-of-the-art plasma rifle, and waited. Her heart pounded in her chest, not from fear, but from the adrenaline of the challenge. She was outmatched, but not outwitted. The Zorvax halted near her hiding spot. Their leader, a massive figure who dwarfed his companions, stepped forward. He scanned the area, his piercing eyes seemingly looking right through the rocks. "Come out, human! We know you're here!" he called, his voice booming across the rocky expanse. Mia took a deep breath, stood up, and faced the alien general. She knew the importance of this moment, not just for her, but for all of humanity. "Here I am," she said boldly, meeting the general's gaze. "Let's talk." General Krall stared at the diminutive human, his initial amusement fading as he sensed the resolve and defiance emanating from her. Perhaps, he thought, there was more to humans than he had believed. General Krall observed the human standing defiantly before him. Her posture was unyielding, her eyes steady. She was unlike any human he had encountered before. Most were bureaucrats or traitors, not soldiers brimming with such confidence. Intrigued, he motioned for his soldiers to lower their weapons. "Speak, human. What brings you to Jataris? Kral's voice was less of a bellow now, more a gruff murmur. Captain Mia Evans did not flinch. I'm here to understand the new dynamics. Jataris has become a focal point in the galaxy, and Earth cannot remain blind to these shifts. Kral smirked. Diplomatic, but foolish to come alone. You must know you cannot survive here without support. I'm not alone, Mia replied cryptically, her eyes briefly flicking to the horizon. Kral followed her gaze, but saw nothing. Enough games, he growled, turning back to her. You will come with us. Perhaps your insight might prove useful, or maybe you'll serve better as a bargaining chip. Mia nodded, understanding she had little choice in the matter. As they walked back to the Zorvak's landing craft, she noted the layout of their camp, the number of soldiers, and the weaponry, information that could prove vital later. Inside the craft, Mia was led to a small, austere room that served as a makeshift holding cell. The door clanged shut, the sound echoing off the metal walls. She sat on the bench, her mind racing through scenarios. Meanwhile, General Kral convened with his advisors in the command center. Monitor her communications, he ordered. I want to know who she contacts and what they discuss. She's not as isolated as she appears. Yes, General, Grax responded, but he hesitated. Sir, do you think the humans could truly pose a threat? Kral considered this. Humans were resilient, yes, and their rapid technological advancements were not to be underestimated. Do not let their appearance deceive you. They are survivors, adaptable and cunning. We must learn as much as we can. Back in her cell, Mia activated a hidden device in her sleeve, a compact signal booster. She tapped a coded message into her wrist communicator. This is Evans, captured but safe. Gathering intel. Stay alert. High above, on the orbiting human command ship, her signal was received. Understood, Captain. Maintain position. Extraction protocol ready upon signal. As night fell on Jataris, Mia lay awake, thinking through her next moves. She knew the Zorvaks respected strength and cunning, and she planned to show plenty of both. The following morning, General Kral returned to Mia's cell, his demeanor slightly more respectful. Captain Evans, you claim to be here for intelligence. Let's see if your knowledge is of any value. You will accompany me to the council today. Impress me, and perhaps your stay here will be more comfortable. Mia nodded, her expression unreadable. Lead the way, General. At the council meeting, representatives from various alien races argued fiercely over rights to mine Jataris. Kral observed Mia carefully as she listened, her eyes scanning the room, absorbing every detail. When a break was called, Kral leaned towards her. Well, what say you about this squabble? Mia responded with measured calm. It's not just about resources, General. It's about alliances. The balance of power in this room could dictate the future of this region. Perhaps instead of picking a side, you should consider how you could lead it. Kral looked at her, a spark of respect in his eyes. Indeed, Captain. Perhaps you are more than just a soldier. As they walked back to the assembly, Mia's communicator vibrated discreetly. She knew her team was ready. The real game was about to begin, and she was not just a participant but a player. As the council resumed, the air was thick with tension. Various factions presented their cases, some with veiled threats, others with promises of wealth and power. Mia, standing beside General Kral, observed each representative keenly. She was silently cataloging allies and adversaries, understanding that the dynamics here were as volatile as the surface of Jataris itself. General Kral, now seeing Maya as a potential asset, allowed her to engage in discussions. Captain Evans, share your thoughts, he invited, during a particularly heated debate about mining rights. Mia stepped forward. Gentlemen, ladies, she began, addressing the diverse species in the room. I'm neither a diplomat nor a politician. I'm a soldier, and I see things from a strategic point of view. You're all fighting over the same slice of pie because it's right in front of you. But what if instead you could increase the size of the pie itself? Her suggestion paused the bickering. Go on, prompted a Talura delegate, intrigued. If each of you contributes technology and manpower, under a united front led by the Zorvaks, you could develop the mining operations much faster and more efficiently. This doesn't just increase immediate profits, but also creates a stable environment where everyone gets a larger share, reducing the risk of conflict. Crawl watched the reactions around the room. Mia's proposal had shifted the conversation from competition to cooperation. He grunted approvingly, a sound that in Zorvak's culture signified deep contemplation. As the meeting adjourned, several delegates approached Mia, asking for further details. Crawl felt a surge of pride mixed with a calculative wariness. Mia was proving to be more valuable than he had anticipated, and more dangerous. Back in her holding room, Mia's mind raced. She had planted seeds of an idea that could potentially end her mission prematurely and successfully, but only if she managed to navigate the treacherous waters of intergalactic politics. She activated her communicator once more. "Progress good. Plan in motion. Prepare for next phase," she transmitted quietly. Meanwhile, Crawl was in his quarters, reviewing the recordings of the council meeting. Mia's words replayed in his head. He knew she was manipulating the situation, but to what end? His respect for her grew, yet so did his suspicion. The next morning, Crawl decided to confront Mia. He entered her room with a proposal of his own. "Captain Evans, your idea has merit. But why should the Zorvaks lead? What's in it for you, and why should I trust you?" Mia met his gaze squarely. "General, in my short time here I've learned that the Zorvaks respect strength and intelligence. You lead not because you can force others to follow, but because you can convince them to join you willingly. As for trust, I don't expect it. Not fully. But our interests align, and that's enough for now." Crawl nodded slowly. "Very well. Tomorrow you will speak before the council again. This time your communications will not be monitored. I want to see your true intentions." That night, Mia couldn't sleep. The gamble was larger than any she had ever taken. Success meant a monumental shift in Earth's position within the galaxy. Failure was not an option she allowed herself to contemplate. The day of the council, Mia stood before the galaxy's representatives, her voice clear and her stance firm. "Ladies and gentlemen, I propose a formal alliance under the leadership of the Zorvaks, with equal shares for all. This alliance will not only secure the mining operations but also pave the way for a united defense strategy against any external threats." Her proposal was bold, and the room fell silent. Crawl watched, a fierce pride battling his innate caution. As debates erupted, he realized Mia had done more than just propose an alliance. She had redefined the power dynamics of the entire galaxy. As the council voted in favor of the alliance, Mia's communicator buzzed discreetly. "Extraction cancelled. Mission continues. New orders incoming." Mia turned to Crawl, offering a hand in partnership. "General, let's build a new future." Crawl, taking her hand, knew the galaxy would never be the same. Mia had not only earned his respect, she had won a place in the annals of Zorvak's history. The game had indeed changed. DB. The newfound alliance under the leadership of the Zorvaks, with General Crawl at the helm and Captain Mia Evans as a key advisor, quickly began to take shape. The agreement was groundbreaking, not just in terms of resources, but also as a political experiment that many skeptics in the galaxy watched closely. In the days following the Council's decision, Mia worked tirelessly alongside Crawl to lay down the foundational policies of the alliance. Their meetings were intense, often stretching into the long hours of the Jatarian nights, as they negotiated terms, responsibilities, and protections for all involved parties. "The key here is equitable distribution," Mia argued during one such meeting, pointing to a holographic map that displayed resource zones. "Every species needs to feel they have a stake, or else we'll have dissent from the start." Crawl nodded, his respect for Mia's diplomatic instincts growing by the day. "And what of Earth?" he asked pointedly. "Your people are not known for their military might. What role do you envision for them?" Mia smiled slightly. "Technology transfer and development. Earth may not have the strongest fleets, but our tech innovations are valuable. We can contribute significantly to communications and mining technologies." Crawl grunted his agreement. "Very well. We will need a demonstration to convince the others. Plans were made for a technology exchange summit to be held on Jataris, where Earth would showcase its contributions. Mia communicated this back to Earth Command. and preparations began for what would be a historic demonstration. As the summit approached, security was the paramount concern. Krall's forces were on high alert, and Mia coordinated closely with Earth's security teams, who were unfamiliar with the intricacies of interstellar security protocols. The day of the summit arrived, and representatives from various planetary systems gathered in the Great Hall of Jataris. The air was charged with a mixture of excitement and underlying tension, as many delegates were still wary of the ambitious project. Mia opened the summit with a brief speech. "Today, we stand at the dawn of a new era," she declared. "Here, we forge not just an alliance of convenience, but a community of shared futures. Let us show you what Earth can bring to our collective table." The demonstrations were a resounding success. Earth's advancements in energy-efficient propulsion systems and automated mining technologies were particularly well received, impressing even the most skeptical of alien representatives. However, not everyone was pleased with the rapid developments. In the shadows, discontent brewed among those who felt sidelined by the new power structures. A faction of rogue delegates began to conspire, planning to disrupt the alliance before it could fully solidify. Krall received intelligence about potential sabotage plans during one of the nightly security briefings. "We have intercepted communications among a small group of delegates. They plan to sabotage the summit and blame it on Earth, hoping to fracture the alliance," reported a Zorvax security officer. Mia's expression hardened. "We need to counteract this immediately. General, if you trust me, I have a plan." With Krall's approval, Mia set up a sting operation during the summit's closing ceremony. As the rogue delegates began their attempt to disrupt the proceedings, they were swiftly apprehended by a joint team of Zorvax and Earth security forces. The quick action and the clear demonstration of unity between Earth and the Zorvax quelled any remaining doubts about the alliance's stability. In the aftermath, Krall addressed the summit. "Today, we have not only witnessed Earth's potential, but also our ability to stand united against those who would see us divided. Let this be a lesson to all." As the delegates applauded, Mia and Krall exchanged a look of mutual respect. Their partnership had not only averted a crisis, but it also cemented the foundation of the alliance. In the days that followed, Mia continued to work with Krall to strengthen the alliance, aware that the road ahead would be fraught with challenges. Yet she was also confident that together, they were creating a new force in the galaxy, one that could very well change the course of history. The newly established alliance had passed its first test of unity, but Mia and General Krall knew that the road ahead was fraught with potential pitfalls. The successful thwarting of the sabotage attempt had sent a strong message to any would-be dissenters, yet it had also highlighted the vulnerabilities inherent in such a diverse coalition. Mia was acutely aware that the intrigue had only just begun. In the weeks following the summit, Mia was tasked with overseeing the integration of Earth technologies into the Alliance's resource extraction operations. Her role as a liaison was critical, as it involved not just the transfer of technology, but also ensuring that the various alien races understood and accepted these new methods. Meanwhile, General Krall focused on solidifying military alliances, conducting joint exercises, and establishing a unified defense protocol. His presence at these meetings was commanding, yet he often sought Mia's counsel on political nuances, acknowledging her diplomatic acumen. One afternoon, as they reviewed reports of increased pirate activity near the outer sectors, Krall's communicator buzzed with an urgent message.
"General, we have a situation,"
came the voice of his chief intelligence officer.
"We've intercepted a series of encrypted messages that suggest there is a mole within our ranks."
Krall and Mia exchanged a glance, each feeling the weight of the news. "Details," Krall demanded, his voice steady. "The messages are fragmentary, but they imply that someone close to the Alliance leadership is leaking information about our military capabilities and mining operations to a rival bloc," the officer explained. Mia's mind raced. The implications were severe. A leak could destabilize the fragile trust they had built and give their rivals an edge. "We need to trace these messages. Can we set up a surveillance sting to catch the mole in the act?" she suggested. Krall nodded, authorizing the operation. Over the next few days, Mia worked with Zorvax and Earth intelligence teams to lay a digital trap. They seeded false information about a supposed new mining site, hoping to lure the mole into revealing themselves. As they awaited the outcome, Mia continued her work with the technological integration. During a visit to a mining site on a nearby moon, she demonstrated a new robotic drilling system to a group of skeptical Tolera engineers. Her ability to bridge cultural and technical divides was proving invaluable, earning her respect among various factions. Back on Jataris, the trap was sprung. The mole took the bait, sending an encrypted message to a known adversary of the Alliance. However, the rapid response of the intelligence team allowed them to trace the communication back to its source, a mid-level diplomat from a minor but ambitious alien race. Kral and Mia confronted the diplomat, who, faced with irrefutable evidence, confessed to the espionage, driven by promises of wealth and power from the rival bloc. The swift handling of the incident bolstered the Alliance's internal security protocols, but it also raised questions about the loyalty of other members. In the aftermath, Mia and Kral met to discuss the broader implications. "This won't be the last attempt to undermine us," Mia stated plainly. "We need a more proactive approach to identify threats before they materialize." Kral agreed. "Your strategies have proven effective. I propose creating a joint intelligence task force, led by you, Captain Evans. We cannot afford to be reactive." Mia accepted the responsibility, feeling the gravity of her new role. "I'll need access to all member databases and surveillance capabilities. Trust and transparency between us will be crucial," she asserted. As they moved forward, the structure of the Alliance began to resemble more of a finely tuned instrument, capable of preemptive strikes against internal and external threats. Mia's leadership in the task force rapidly became a linchpin in the ongoing stability of the coalition. In her private quarters, Mia reflected on the journey thus far. The web of intrigue was intricate and dangerous, but she was no longer just a participant. She was now a master weaver, her threads pulling together the fabric of a new galactic power. As the Galactic Alliance under the leadership of General Kral and the strategic guidance of Captain Mia Evans strengthened, the initial waves of enthusiasm were slowly tempered by the realities of governing a coalition of diverse and sometimes conflicting interests. While the Alliance's primary aim remained the advancement and protection of shared resources, underlying currents of dissent continued to challenge its stability. In her role as head of the Joint Intelligence Task Force, Mia worked relentlessly to root out threats before they could destabilize the coalition. Her efforts had led to a sophisticated surveillance network that spanned multiple systems, but the more she uncovered, the more she realized how delicate their balance truly was. During a routine review of security feeds, Mia and her team detected unusual activity within the diplomatic quarters on Jataris. An envoy from the Narek Confederacy, a small but strategically located member of the Alliance, had been meeting secretly with representatives from an unaligned system known for its mercenary activities. Mia brought this information to General Kral, who was dealing with his own set of challenges. Military integration among the member species was proving more complex than anticipated, with old rivalries surfacing despite common goals. "Another potential fire to put out," Kral remarked dryly as Mia briefed him. "What do you make of these meetings, Captain? It could be nothing, or it could be the start of a factional split. The Narek have always been opportunistic. It's possible they're seeking to hedge their bets in case the Alliance falters," Mia explained. Kral's expression hardened. "Or they could be planning to sell us out. We need to confront this, but delicately. We can't afford a scandal or a split." Deciding on a course of action, Mia suggested a covert operation to gather more concrete evidence. "If we confront them now, we risk driving them further away, or worse, underground. Let's find out what they're planning first." With Kral's approval, Mia organized a small team of specialists to surveil the Narek envoy and his mysterious contacts. Using a combination of traditional stakeouts and advanced electronic interception, they soon had a clearer picture. The Narek were indeed negotiating an exit from the Alliance, tempted by promises of exclusive mining rights from the mercenaries' backers. Armed with this information, Mia and Kral planned their next move. They invited the Narek envoy to a private meeting under the guise of discussing new mining technologies. There, they confronted him with the evidence of his clandestine negotiations. The envoy, caught off guard and realizing his vulnerable position, tried to justify his actions. The Alliance is strong, but it's not invincible. We must look out for our own interests as well, he argued weakly. Kroll, however, was not in a mood for excuses. Your actions threaten the security of all, but we are willing to offer you a choice. Realign with the Alliance, with increased oversight, or face the consequences of your betrayal. The envoy, realizing the futility of resistance and the benefits of cooperating, agreed to realign with the Alliance. In return, Mia and Kroll worked to integrate the Narek more fully into the Alliance's economic planning, ensuring they had a vested interest in the Coalition's success. This incident, while resolved peacefully, was a stark reminder of the continuous challenges that faced the Alliance. Mia reflected on the complexities of her role. Not only was she safeguarding the Alliance from external threats, but she was also navigating the intricate web of internal politics. As the Alliance moved forward, Mia's reputation grew not only as a guardian of peace, but also as a master strategist in the political arena. Her unique position allowed her to shape the future of the Coalition, ensuring that each member's voice was heard and their concerns addressed. She was becoming an essential figure in not only maintaining, but also driving the Alliance's unity and purpose. The Alliance had weathered several storms under the watchful eyes of General Kroll and Captain Mia Evans, each incident reinforcing the structure while highlighting potential weaknesses. Mia, with her adept handling of the latest crisis involving the Narek envoy, had solidified her position as a cornerstone of the Alliance's security and diplomatic efforts. However, a new challenge loomed on the horizon, one that threatened to eclipse all previous issues in both scope and danger. During a routine communication intercept, Mia's team uncovered a series of encrypted messages that hinted at a massive gathering of disaffected factions from various corners of the galaxy. These groups were not merely discussing dissent, they were planning a coordinated strike against the Alliance's leadership and key infrastructures. The intel suggested that the meeting point was on a remote asteroid in the Bellari system, a location known for its lawlessness and as a haven for the galaxy's most notorious criminals. Mia immediately recognized the gravity of the situation and briefed General Kroll, who was equally concerned. "We need to disrupt this gathering," Mia stated firmly, her mind racing through potential strategies. "If they manage to unify their efforts, it could spell disaster for us and the stability we've worked so hard to achieve." Kroll nodded, his face set in grim determination. "Agreed. A direct assault might scatter them, but it could also escalate the situation. We need a more subtle approach." After much deliberation, they decided on a two-pronged strategy. Mia would lead a covert team to infiltrate the meeting and gather intelligence, potentially sabotaging their efforts from within. Meanwhile, Kroll would prepare a tactical squad to intervene directly should things go awry. As preparations got underway, Mia selected her team with precision, choosing operatives who excelled in stealth and information warfare. They traveled to the Bellari system aboard a nondescript freighter, blending in with the myriad of other shady vessels. Upon arrival, Mia and her team, equipped with the latest in cloaking technology and encrypted communication gear, infiltrated the asteroid. Inside, they found a conglomerate of various species, each with their grievances against the Alliance. Mia listened intently, her recorder capturing every word, as plans for coordinated attacks on key Alliance assets were discussed. Back on Jataris, Kroll monitored the situation closely, his forces on high alert. As Mia transmitted her reports, he adjusted his response plans accordingly, ready to act at a moment's notice. Mia's opportunity to disrupt the meeting came when a heated argument broke out among the leaders over the distribution of resources post-strike. Seizing the moment, she and her team launched a series of calculated sabotage acts, starting with disabling the asteroid's communication arrays. This sowed confusion and distrust among the factions, as each suspected the other of betrayal. The situation escalated quickly, and as planned, Mia signaled Kroll for extraction. Just as the factions began to turn on each other, Kroll's forces arrived, not with overt aggression, but with a show of overwhelming force, offering an amnesty to those who would stand down and reconsider their positions. The operation was a resounding success. Many of the factions, realizing the futility of their position and the strength of the Alliance, chose to disband. while others were captured and detained for further negotiation. In the aftermath, as Mia and her team returned to Jataris, she reflected on the delicate balance of power they were maintaining. Each victory was hard-won, and the peace they preserved was fragile, yet with each challenge, the alliance grew stronger, more cohesive. Mia's role had evolved significantly from her initial assignment. She was no longer just a soldier. She was a key leader in a complex interstellar alliance, a guardian of peace in a galaxy where war was always just a spark away. The responsibilities were immense, but Mia found a deep sense of purpose in her work, driven by a vision of a galaxy where unity could eventually overcome division and conflict. Following the successful thwarting of the rebel factions at the Bellari system, Mia and General Krall found themselves navigating a galaxy that was increasingly aware of the strength and the vulnerabilities of the Alliance. The victory had bolstered their position, yet it also underscored the continuous need for vigilance and adaptation. Mia, with her deepening role in strategic planning, began to see patterns of alliance and enmity that extended beyond immediate military threats. The Alliance's stability was soon tested anew when a crisis erupted in the Haidari cluster, a key member of the Alliance that controlled a critical passageway for interstellar trade. The Haidari government was suddenly destabilized by a coup, led by a radical faction that opposed the Alliance, arguing it compromised their planetary sovereignty for the sake of galactic stability. General Krall saw the situation as a clear threat to the structural integrity of the Alliance. "If Haidari falls to these radicals, we risk a domino effect," he explained in a strategy meeting. "Other member states might follow suit if they see that breaking away can succeed." Mia proposed a dual approach to the crisis. "We should prepare for a possible military intervention to support the Loyalist forces, but I believe we should also try to negotiate. If we can understand the grievances fueling this coup, perhaps we can address them without further bloodshed." Krall agreed, albeit reluctantly. He authorized Mia to lead a diplomatic mission to Haidari, while he coordinated with the Alliance's military to prepare for any necessary action. Mia's team landed on Haidari amid a tense atmosphere. The planet was a beautiful but stark landscape, with towering rock formations that glowed with the natural luminescence of embedded minerals, a visual reminder of the planet's rich natural resources that were vital to the Alliance. Meeting with leaders of the radical faction was risky, but Mia navigated the talks with a calm authority, offering assurances about the Alliance's intentions and listening to their concerns. "The Alliance doesn't seek to strip you of your heritage or autonomy," Mia explained. "It aims to protect the collective security and prosperity that benefits all, including Haidari." Despite her efforts, the radicals were skeptical. Their leader, a charismatic figure named Soren, voiced his fears bluntly. "You speak of benefits and security, Captain, but from here it looks a lot like subjugation. Our resources fuel the Alliance, yet our people see little in return." Mia took these words back to Krall, suggesting they revise the terms of Haidari's participation in the Alliance. "Perhaps we can offer them greater control over their resources, coupled with enhanced economic aid to ensure the populace sees the tangible benefits of Alliance membership." Krall considered this deeply. "Your approach is not without risk, Mia, but perhaps it's necessary. Proceed with your negotiations, but keep our forces ready." The negotiations were tense and prolonged. Mia worked tirelessly, shuttling between Haidari and the Alliance headquarters, brokering deals and building trust. Slowly, the tide began to turn. The radical faction's support waned as the benefits of Mia's proposals became apparent to the broader Haidari populace. Ultimately, a new agreement was reached, one that preserved Haidari's membership in the Alliance while granting them greater economic independence and additional protective measures. Soren, seeing the shift in public opinion, agreed to a peaceful integration back into the government, swayed by Mia's diplomacy and the clear demonstration of the Alliance's willingness to adapt and respect member sovereignty. As Mia reported back to Krall, her sense of achievement was tinged with the knowledge that each crisis averted was merely a prelude to future challenges. "We've held the line this time," she remarked. Krall nodded, his eyes on the star maps that plotted the vast, interconnected territories of their alliance. "And we'll hold it again, thanks to you, Mia. Let's prepare for the next challenge." Their partnership, forged in the fires of countless crises, was becoming the linchpin of the most powerful alliance the galaxy had ever seen. As they faced the future, they knew that their paths, diplomatic and military, were intertwined, each reliant on the other to navigate the complex web of interstellar politics and power. Following the successful renegotiation of the Hydari cluster's terms within the alliance, Mia and General Krall realized that the nature of their challenges was evolving. As the alliance expanded and stabilized externally, internal threats became subtler and more complex, often masked by layers of political maneuvering and secrecy. Mia's role as the head of the Joint Intelligence Task Force became increasingly crucial. She began developing a sophisticated network of informants and surveillance systems that spanned the alliance, aiming to uncover not just overt threats, but also the covert schemes that could undermine their collective security from within. One day, during a routine security review, Mia's team intercepted a series of encoded transmissions that were traced back to the Ventari sector, a relatively peaceful and cooperative member of the alliance. The messages were heavily encrypted, suggesting something significant was being hidden. Mia decided to investigate personally, given the potential implications. Arriving in the Ventari sector, Mia posed as a diplomat discussing trade agreements, which allowed her to probe the local political landscape discreetly. Her meetings revealed a troubling undercurrent of unrest among the sector's leaders, who felt that their cultural identity was being eroded under the alliance's policies. The key to these encrypted messages was a young codebreaker from Mia's team, Lucas, who had been instrumental in several past operations. Working tirelessly back at headquarters, Lucas managed to decrypt the messages, revealing plans for a cultural renaissance festival designed as a front for a summit of dissenting leaders from various sectors. Armed with this information, Mia adjusted her approach. She met with the Ventari leaders not with accusations, but with an offer to help facilitate their festival, turning it from a secret meeting of dissent into a celebrated event under the Alliance's endorsement. This festival could be a model for how cultural diversity is preserved within our alliance, Mia suggested during a closed-door meeting with the Ventari Council. Let's work together to show the galaxy that unity does not mean uniformity. The council was initially suspicious, but were eventually swayed by Mia's genuine enthusiasm and the promise of alliance resources to support their cultural initiatives. The festival went ahead, not as a secretive summit, but as a public celebration of Ventari culture, attended by representatives from across the alliance. Meanwhile, General Krall was dealing with his own set of challenges. The military readiness of the alliance was being tested by minor skirmishes and pirate activities along the outer regions. These incidents were growing in frequency and coordination, suggesting a possible connection to the internal unrest Mia was tackling. Krall deployed additional patrols and initiated a series of joint military exercises designed to showcase the alliance's strength and preparedness. He also communicated regularly with Mia, ensuring that their strategies were aligned and that military action supported diplomatic efforts. As Mia watched the festival unfold, she realized the importance of visibility in their governance, showing the member states that their identities and voices were not only recognized but celebrated within the alliance. It was a delicate balance between showing strength and offering support, between governance and guidance. The festival ended with a grand parade of Ventari heritage, a vibrant display of costumes, music, and dance that was broadcast across the galaxy. The message was clear. The alliance was strong because of its diversity, not in spite of it. Back at headquarters, Mia and Krall reviewed the outcomes of their recent endeavors. They knew that the peace and stability of the alliance were constant works in progress. Each victory in diplomacy and each thwarted threat were steps towards a more stable galaxy, but the path was long and fraught with hidden dangers. The key, Mia noted, is to remain vigilant but also open. We need to be as ready to listen as we are to defend. Krall nodded in agreement. And perhaps our greatest strength is our ability to adapt, to turn potential crises into opportunities for reaffirmation of our principles. Together, they prepared for the next challenge, knowing that each success added another layer of resilience to the intricate tapestry of their interstellar alliance. The celebration of Ventari culture had not only quelled the immediate dissent, but also strengthened the sense of belonging among the Alliance's diverse members. Mia's strategy of turning potential unrest into a platform for cultural expression had proven effective, reinforcing the idea that the Alliance was a protector of diversity rather than a suppressor. This success provided a blueprint for handling similar issues that might arise in other sectors. In the aftermath of the festival, Mia and General Krall turned their attention to further solidifying the internal cohesion of the Alliance. They initiated the Cultural Exchange Program, designed to foster deeper understanding and appreciation among the member species through shared cultural events, educational exchanges, and collaborative projects. Mia coordinated with cultural leaders from various planets, organizing events that showcased arts, sciences, and traditions. These initiatives were well received, creating a tapestry of shared experiences that brought the disparate members closer together. Meanwhile, General Krall focused on strengthening the military and economic infrastructure of the Alliance. He supervised the integration of technology and resources, ensuring that each member state had a stake in the collective prosperity. This not only boosted the economies of the member planets, but also created a network of interdependency that made the idea of leaving the Alliance less appealing. During this period of building and strengthening, a new challenge emerged from an unexpected quarter. The Seraphim Cluster, a distant and somewhat isolated region of the Alliance, reported unusual seismic activities on their main planet, Seraph 4. Initial reports suggested natural causes, but the pattern of tremors was oddly regular, hinting at possible artificial origins. Concerned about the implications, Mia dispatched a team of scientists and security personnel to investigate. She also went to Seraph 4, feeling that her presence might reassure the local population and underscore the Alliance's commitment to their safety. Upon arrival, Mia's team discovered that the tremors were indeed not natural. Deep beneath the planet's surface, they found an elaborate network of machines apparently designed to destabilize the planet's core. This shocking discovery suggested an attempt not just to cause physical destruction, but to sow fear and possibly force the Seraphim Cluster to seek independence from the Alliance under duress. The investigation pointed to a radical group that opposed the Alliance's expansionist policies, viewing them as a threat to the autonomy of smaller, remote clusters like Seraphim. Mia realized that this was not just a security issue, but a political and ideological challenge that needed a nuanced approach. Instead of a show of military might, Mia opted for transparency. She organized a series of town hall meetings across Seraphim, where she presented the findings openly and discussed the implications with the local communities. She explained how the Alliance's protective measures had preempted a major catastrophe and highlighted the benefits of mutual security and economic integration. Mia's open approach helped to quell the rising panic and turn public opinion against the radical group, whose actions were now seen as endangering the very community they purported to protect. Back on Jataris, Mia and Krall reviewed the situation with their advisors. "We need to be proactive in addressing the concerns of remote clusters," Mia suggested. "Let's initiate a remote cluster development program to ensure that these areas receive focused attention and resources." Krall agreed, recognizing that securing the Alliance's outer edges was as crucial as maintaining its core. He arranged for additional resources to be directed to the Seraphim Cluster and similar regions, reinforcing their infrastructure and ensuring their voices were heard in the Central Council. As the Alliance grew stronger internally, Mia continued to weave the threads of unity, creating a resilient structure that could withstand both external. With the remote cluster development program underway and various cultural initiatives fostering unity among the member species, Mia and General Krall seemed to have created a robust framework for the Alliance's stability. However, peace within the Alliance was always a delicate balance, and shadows lingered on the edges of their achievements. During a routine security debriefing, Mia received intelligence about unusual fleet movements in the border sectors adjacent to the Zolan Dominion, a powerful entity that had remained neutral, yet observant of the Alliance's expansion. The Zolan Dominion had long harbored suspicions about the Alliance's intentions, viewing the integration of military and economic resources among the member planets as a potential threat to their sovereignty. Mia immediately saw the strategic implications of this development. If the Zolan Dominion perceived the alliance as a threat, they might consider preemptive actions to safeguard their interests. This required a careful diplomatic approach to prevent escalation into open conflict. "General, we need to address the Zolan's concerns directly," Mia suggested during their strategy session. "A diplomatic mission might help clarify our intentions and ease their fears of encroachment." Krall, ever cautious about the military posture of their neighbors, agreed reluctantly. "We'll prepare for all possible outcomes, but you're right, Mia. Diplomacy first. I trust your judgment on this." Mia organized a delegation comprising diplomats, military advisors, and cultural ambassadors to visit the Zolan Dominion. She led the mission herself, aware that her presence would signify the importance the alliance placed on peaceful relations with the Zolan. Upon arriving in the Zolan capital, Mia and her team were greeted with courteous but cold formality. The Zolans were a proud people, their culture steeped in martial tradition and honor. Their leader, High Chancellor Vorek, was a seasoned politician known for his strategic acumen. During the initial talks, Mia addressed the assembly, her tone respectful yet firm. "The Alliance seeks stability in our region, not domination. Our efforts to integrate and cooperate are driven by a desire for peace and prosperity, shared amongst all. We see the Zolan Dominion not as rivals, but as potential partners in this endeavor." High Chancellor Vorek listened intently, his expression unreadable. After Mia's presentation, he raised concerns about the Alliance's military maneuvers near their borders and the inclusion of certain planets that had historical ties to the Zolan Dominion. Mia responded with a proposal for joint military exercises and open communication channels to ensure transparency. She also suggested cultural exchanges to foster a better understanding of each other's intentions and build trust at a grassroots level. The discussions were lengthy and fraught with tension, but gradually, the Zolans began to respond more positively to Mia's overtures. The idea of joint exercises was particularly appealing, as it addressed their concerns about military readiness and offered a platform for both sides to demonstrate goodwill. As the mission concluded, Mia felt a cautious optimism. The agreement was tentative, but it opened a pathway for dialogue and potential collaboration. Upon her return, she briefed Krall and the Council, emphasizing the need for careful follow-through and constant vigilance. "We've managed to avert a crisis, but the real work begins now," Mia concluded. "Building trust with the Zolan Dominion will require time, patience, and consistency in our actions." Krall nodded, aware of the complexities involved. "Your efforts have given us a chance, Mia. Let's make sure we don't squander it. Prepare the plans for the joint exercises and keep a close watch on the border. We must show that our intentions are as honorable as we claim." As the Alliance continued to navigate the intricate dance of galactic politics, Mia's role as a diplomat became increasingly intertwined with her responsibilities as a security strategist. Each successful negotiation reinforced the Alliance's position, but each also drew them deeper into the complex web of interstellar relations, where every action had far-reaching consequences. As the fragile beginnings of a rapport with the Zolan Dominion took shape, Mia found herself constantly straddling the line between diplomacy and security. The Alliance, while growing stronger and more cohesive internally, was now facing the complex challenge of dealing with external relations that could easily tip into hostility if not managed with precision. Following her return from the Zolan Dominion, Mia coordinated the planning of the joint military exercises that had been agreed upon. These exercises were intended not only to build trust, but also to provide a transparent showcase of the Alliance's military capabilities and intentions. It was a delicate balance of demonstrating strength without appearing threatening. Meanwhile, General Krall focused on reinforcing the border defenses, ensuring that any potential misunderstanding during the exercises wouldn't escalate into an unintended conflict. His respect for Mia's diplomatic skills was immense, but he remained prepared for all contingencies, adhering to his belief that peace was best maintained through strength. The joint exercises commenced under intense scrutiny from both sides. The Alliance and Zolan fleets engaged in simulated combat scenarios, search and rescue operations, and strategic planning sessions. Mia and a team of diplomats attended every event, facilitating discussions and smoothing over any tensions that arose. During a particularly tense mock battle scenario, a technical malfunction on a Zolan ship caused it to stray into a restricted area, leading to a brief but intense standoff. Mia's quick intervention, coupled with her open communication with Zolan commanders, diffused the situation before it could escalate. This incident underscores the need for better communication and more integrated systems. Mia addressed the Joint Command meeting afterward. Let's view this as a learning opportunity rather than a setback. Her ability to turn potential conflicts into collaborative discussions earned her deep respect from both Alliance and Zolan personnel. High Chancellor Vorik, who had observed the exercises with a critical eye, expressed his cautious approval. "You handle crises with commendable calm, Captain Evans," Vorik remarked during a debriefing session. "Perhaps there is more common ground between us than I had anticipated." Encouraged by this progress, Mia proposed an extension of the cultural exchange programs that had been successful within the Alliance to include the Zolan Dominion. She envisioned a series of intercultural festivals, academic exchanges, and joint scientific ventures that would bridge the gap between the two powers. As these initiatives took root, the political landscape within the Alliance began to shift subtly. The focus on external relations brought to light differing perspectives among the member planets on how aggressively to pursue expansion and integration. Some members advocated for a more cautious approach, wary of provoking other powerful entities like the Zolan Dominion, while others pushed for a more assertive stance. Mia found herself navigating not only external diplomatic waters, but also internal political currents. During a session of the Alliance Council, debates grew heated, with representatives voicing concerns about becoming too entangled with the Zolan Dominion. "We must not lose sight of our sovereignty in our pursuit of security," argued a representative from the Hadari cluster, echoing a sentiment that had begun to resonate with a significant faction within the council. Mia responded with a carefully measured tone, advocating for a balanced approach. "Our sovereignty is strengthened, not weakened by strategic partnerships. Isolation may protect us momentarily, but it will not secure our future. We must be as adept in forming alliances as we are in defending our borders." As the council session concluded, Mia's words seemed to resonate with many, though a small but vocal group remained skeptical. She knew that maintaining unity within the alliance would require constant effort, and perhaps more importantly, a clear demonstration that these external engagements were benefiting everyone involved. Back in her office, Mia reviewed the reports from the joint exercises and the feedback from the cultural initiatives. Each successful interaction, each crisis averted, and each partnership forged added threads to the fabric of the alliance, making it stronger, yet infinitely more complex. She was keenly aware that the path ahead would require all her diplomatic skill and strategic acumen. As the galaxy watched, Mia prepared for the next chapter, where the Alliance would either solidify its place as a pivotal power or fracture under the weight of its ambitions. In the evolving landscape of galactic politics, every action taken by Mia and the Alliance seemed to set off ripples that extended far beyond their immediate sphere. The successful joint military exercises with the Zolan Dominion had opened doors that were previously shut, fostering a new era of cautious but genuine dialogue. However, the internal dissensions within the Alliance highlighted by the recent council debates served as a stark reminder that the path to unity was fraught with challenges. Mia's deepening understanding of the delicate balance necessary to maintain and expand the Alliance influenced her next steps. She proposed a new initiative, the Galactic Stability and Prosperity Framework, aimed at enhancing economic collaboration and technological exchange among all members, including the Zolan Dominion. This initiative was ambitious, aiming not only to solidify existing bonds but also to attract other neutral systems into the fold, expanding the Alliance's influence through soft power rather than military might. While the proposal was met with enthusiasm by many within the Alliance, some members remained wary. The Haidari cluster, in particular, voiced concerns about losing their economic autonomy and becoming overly dependent on the Alliance's collective systems. Their skepticism echoed during a tense meeting where Mia presented the framework. "Captain Evans, While we recognize the benefits of such integration, how do we ensure that Hidari retains its economic independence? Queried the Hidari representative, his tone a mix of curiosity and concern. Mia, prepared for such queries, responded thoughtfully. The framework is designed to enhance, not usurp, our individual economic strengths. By pooling our resources and knowledge, we can create a more robust economy that benefits all, while also maintaining sufficient autonomy to manage our local needs. Her answer seemed to placate some, but the Hidari representative's concerns were indicative of a broader unease that could not be quickly quelled with words alone. It would require careful negotiation and proven results. Amid these intricate political maneuvers, a new external threat emerged. A series of unexplained attacks on shipping lanes in a remote sector of the Alliance hinted at a new player in the galactic chess game. Initial intelligence suggested these attacks could be the work of the Marauders, a loose coalition of pirate factions that had previously been considered a nuisance rather than a significant threat. General Krall, focusing on this new threat, coordinated a series of strategic countermeasures. We need to bolster our defenses and improve our intelligence capabilities in these sectors, he advised, discussing the situation with Mia. Mia agreed, suggesting an integrated approach. Let's use this as an opportunity to test the operational effectiveness of our galactic stability and prosperity framework. By enhancing our collective security and economic strength, we can address these threats more effectively. As they implemented these strategies, Mia continued to engage with various cultural and economic leaders across the Alliance. Her efforts to strengthen the internal fabric of the Alliance were designed to build resilience against both internal dissent and external threats. During a visit to a cultural festival on one of the Alliance's outer planets, Mia took the stage to speak about the importance of unity and resilience. Each of us, no matter how different, shares a common desire for peace and prosperity. It is only by standing together that we can face the challenges before us and emerge stronger. Her words, broadcast across the Alliance, were meant to inspire and unify. However, the real test of their efficacy lay in the tangible outcomes of the policies and initiatives she and General Krall were putting into place. Back at her office, Mia reviewed the latest intelligence reports on the Marauder attacks, piecing together a strategy that would extend beyond mere military retaliation. She planned a series of diplomatic missions to potentially sympathetic systems that harbored the Marauders, aiming to cut off their support through negotiations and economic incentives. Each day brought new challenges, but also new opportunities to strengthen the Alliance. As Mia navigated these complex waters, her role as a diplomat became increasingly intertwined with her responsibilities as a security strategist. Each successful negotiation reinforced the Alliance's position, but each also pulled them deeper into the complex web of interstellar relations, where every action had far-reaching consequences. Mia's diplomatic missions to engage with systems sympathetic to the Marauders marked a pivotal strategy in preempting further attacks and undermining the pirates' support networks. Her approach was a blend of diplomacy and economic incentives, offering these systems an alternative to harboring the pirates, a place within the Alliance with all its benefits and protections. During her journey to the Varaxis system, known to occasionally provide refuge to the Marauders, Mia prepared to navigate the delicate political currents. The system's leaders were wary of external influence, cherishing their independence but struggling economically. Upon arrival, Mia was met with a cool reception. The Varaxis leaders were skeptical of the Alliance, viewing it as a potential threat to their sovereignty. Mia understood these fears and addressed them head-on in her meetings. "We come not with a demand for compliance, but with an offer of partnership," she explained, presenting her proposal that emphasized mutual benefits while respecting their autonomy. Her proposal included technology sharing, protection agreements, and economic aids, such as trade concessions. Mia's straightforward approach gradually wore down the initial resistance. Her ability to listen and adapt her proposals in real time to the concerns of the Varaxis leaders helped shift the narrative from skepticism to cautious interest. Meanwhile, General Krall managed the defense operations against the Marauders with a series of tactical deployments designed to protect vulnerable trade routes and to deter pirate activities through a show of strength. However, he remained fully aware of Mia's efforts, knowing that a long-term solution required stability and economic opportunities, not just military might. Back on Varaxis, as negotiations progressed, Mia received urgent communication from her intelligence team. They had intercepted encrypted communications hinting at a possible major strike being planned by the Marauders, potentially targeting several critical Alliance systems. The scale suggested something beyond ordinary piracy, perhaps a power play to destabilize the region and assert dominance. Mia recognized the urgency of this new threat. She concluded her negotiations with Varaxis hastily, securing a provisional agreement for cooperation. Your decision today will not only benefit Varaxis but ensure stability in this sector, Mia assured the assembly before departing quickly to address the new crisis. Upon her return to the Alliance headquarters, Mia convened with General Krall and their top advisors to strategize a response to the impending Marauder threat. We need to disrupt their operations before they can execute this strike. It's clear now that they're not just pirates but part of a larger destabilization effort, Mia stated, outlining the intelligence findings. Krall agreed, authorizing a series of preemptive strikes against known Marauder bases, along with enhanced surveillance of suspect systems. We'll need to coordinate closely with our new partners in Varaxis. Their cooperation could be key to intercepting these attacks, he noted. As the Alliance forces moved into position, Mia worked tirelessly to solidify the new ties with Varaxis, ensuring that the agreement held and turned into effective cooperation. Her diplomatic acumen was tested as she balanced the immediate security needs with the longer-term goal of integration. The preemptive strikes were successful in disrupting several key Marauder operations, capturing important leaders, and seizing caches of weapons and communications. These actions significantly weakened the Marauders' capabilities and provided valuable intelligence on their network. In the aftermath of the operations, Mia's approach received broad acknowledgement within the Alliance for its effectiveness. The blend of military precision and diplomatic outreach had managed to avert a significant crisis, strengthening the Alliance's position and its unity. Reflecting on these events, Mia realized that the challenges they faced were not just about dealing with immediate threats, but understanding the deeper currents that drove such conflicts. Her role had evolved into one of foresight and anticipation, navigating not just the visible obstacles, but also the unseen currents that could dictate the future of the galaxy. As she prepared for the challenges ahead, Mia was more aware than ever of the intricate web of politics, economics, and security that defined her leadership within the Alliance. After successfully navigating the crisis with the Marauders and securing a tentative partnership with the Varaxis system, Mia faced a galaxy that was both grateful and apprehensive. The Alliance's recent successes under her diplomatic leadership had not only quelled immediate threats, but had also sparked broader discussions about its future role in galactic governance. In the wake of these events, Mia initiated the Galactic Futures Forum, a summit designed to bring together leaders from across the Alliance and beyond to discuss future challenges and opportunities. The forum was intended to be a platform for dialogue, innovation, and policymaking, reflecting Mia's vision of a proactive and inclusive alliance. As preparations for the forum were underway, Mia dealt with the complexities of integrating the Varaxis system into the Alliance's economic and security structures. Her efforts here were crucial in demonstrating the tangible benefits of Alliance membership, not only to Varaxis, but to other neutral or skeptical systems watching closely. During this period, General Krall focused on reinforcing the Alliance's military readiness, wary of potential threats that might capitalize on any perceived weakness. His efforts were particularly concentrated on enhancing the Alliance's rapid response capabilities and developing advanced surveillance technologies to monitor and preempt threats. The Galactic Futures Forum finally convened on a neutral space station, chosen for its symbolic value of neutrality and cooperation. The station bustled with delegates and representatives, each with their own agendas and expectations. Mia opened the forum with a keynote speech that emphasized shared destiny and collective strength. Today we stand at a crossroads in galactic history, Mia proclaimed. The choices we make will determine not just the future of our alliance, but the future of peace and prosperity across the galaxy. Let us choose a path of cooperation over confrontation, of unity over division. Her words set the tone for the discussions that followed. Panels and roundtables addressed various issues, from trade and resource management to security and cultural exchange. Mia facilitated these discussions with a deft hand, ensuring that every voice was heard and that even the most contentious issues were addressed constructively. However, the forum was not without its challenges. A faction of radical isolationists from several outer systems used the platform to voice their dissent about the Alliance's expansionist policies, which they claimed threatened their sovereign rights. Mia addressed these concerns directly, proposing a series of regional councils that would ensure local governance while maintaining alignment with alliance-wide policies. As the forum progressed, it became evident that Mia's efforts were reshaping the political landscape of the galaxy. The discussions led to several groundbreaking agreements, including the establishment of a transgalactic trade network and a shared scientific research initiative aimed at sustainable resource usage. Meanwhile, intelligence reports indicated that remnants of the Marauder factions were regrouping, potentially planning retaliatory strikes against Alliance targets. General Krall, informed of these developments, coordinated with Mia to ensure that the forum was not just a showcase of diplomatic achievements, but also a demonstration of military readiness. The forum concluded with a declaration of principles, signed by all attending members, affirming their commitment to mutual assistance and shared prosperity. Mia's closing remarks echoed the spirit of the declaration. Together, we have laid the foundations for a future built on the strength of our unity. Let us continue to build on this foundation, aware of the challenges but resolute in our commitment to face them together. As the delegates departed, the success of the forum was clear, but so were the challenges that lay ahead. Mia and General Krall reviewed the outcomes, aware that each success sowed the seeds for new challenges. But they also knew that the Alliance, bolstered by its recent achievements, was better prepared than ever to meet whatever the future might hold. In her quarters, looking out at the stars, Mia reflected on the journey thus far. The path of leadership was never linear or easy, but it was hers, and she was determined to lead with vision, courage, and most importantly, hope for the galaxy's collective future.